What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today we're taking a look at OPPO's new lineup of mid-range price flagship smartphones. This is a lineup that I've been covering for so many years, dating back to one of my first work trips to Europe. And in OPPO's new lineup, there are 3 different smartphones, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of the similarities, the differences, while focusing on the Reno 14. So this lineup consists of the Reno 14F, which is the budget model, the Reno 14, which is kind of the one that is in the middle, as well as the Reno 14 Pro, and all of which have their own similarities and differences when it comes to the size, the battery, the charging speed, and the camera, so you can really decide which one you need and which is the best for you. I'm going to be giving away a Reno 14F in this video, so if you want to win one, just go ahead and drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below as to what your favorite feature of this smartphone is, along with your Instagram username so we can contact you in a few weeks. And I want to give a huge thanks to OPPO for sponsoring this video. So the OPPO Reno 14 is very well-rounded in a lot of ways. You take a look at the design. It is premium, made out of metal and glass. You also have this beautiful swirl design. It's available in a few different colors. When it comes to some of my initial hardware observations, I mean, this phone is very beautiful and minimal in nature as well. This beautiful pearl white finish just reflects with the light, gives it a nice level of consistency, and it also features a satin glass finish. In the hand, the phone is just very uniform and solid, very nicely weighted, and I feel like the size is right in the middle with the 6.6-inch display. Comfortable, but if you want a larger phone, you can go with the Reno 14 Pro. If you want a bit of a smaller phone, the Reno 14F is just a tiny bit smaller, but yeah, this phone itself, it feels very premium. There's no elements of it that give it that mid-range or budget feel when it comes to the build quality. It's a device that goes right up against the iPhone 16, and I feel like when it comes to hardware, they've excelled in all of those categories. As for the display, it features an OLED display, peak brightness of 1200 nits, a 120Hz refresh rate, and the colors have always been really nice on OPPO screens, and I personally really like smartphones that have a flat display. It allows you to take advantage of every inch of the screen real estate while having a phone that is easy to hold in the hand. And when you're watching like movies and TV shows, the little pinhole camera is just snuck on the top right here, so it doesn't actually take up any sort of space, and so there's no notch at all. I found that the colors were very vibrant. The display was able to reach a pretty high peak practical brightness of 1200 nits. So if you're like outside and stuff, then you're able to still enjoy using your smartphone. But when it comes to like HDR, it doesn't have like that super high brightness rating, but 1200 nits I feel like is more than enough for most use cases, even when I'm using a premium flagship smartphone that costs a lot more. 120Hz refresh rate is now pretty standard on smartphones of this caliber, which is a good thing to see across the board when it comes to the industry side of things. As for the camera, this smartphone features a 50 megapixel f1.8 main camera, a 50 megapixel telephoto camera with 3.5x optical zoom and OIS, as well as a 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 50 megapixel camera on the front. So this really comes down to the need basis that I was talking about. If you went with the OPPO Reno 14F, you get a single 50 megapixel camera on the main camera, and you have an ultra-wide camera that is a lower megapixel resolution. Whereas if you go with the OPPO Reno 14 Pro, you have a triple 50 megapixel setup, and I feel like that is ideal for people who find themselves using all 3 of the cameras very evenly. If you're someone who mainly uses the main camera and sometimes could take advantage of the telephoto camera, whether it is for landscape photography, portrait, or for uses of just being able to zoom into something from a distance away, such as a sign if you want to read it, then this is like the perfect middle ground. The ultra-wide camera is a lower resolution, so it isn't really a camera that I would say you'd want to prioritize, but on the front side of things, with the selfie camera, it is also 50 megapixels, so I feel like that makes total sense for being the middle child in the lineup. Photos in day-to-day scenarios looked really good. I think it is impressive what a smartphone of this price point is able to do when it comes to capturing images that are not only high resolution, but full of detail, great at white balance, and also able to capture great in portrait mode as well, while also giving you a lot of versatility when it comes to focal lengths. But generally speaking, both in day-to-day as well as in low light mode, I was impressed by the camera quality of the OPPO Reno 14. If you want to go ahead and capture video as well, This smartphone is able to capture at a 4K 60 frames per second resolution. And the Pro Photo mode allows you to customize all of your different settings. But I would say from coming from the same company that kind of has one of the gold standards of smartphone photography at the moment, being the OPPO X8 Ultra that has an impressive camera that we recently tested in Lake Como, a lot of those similarities when it comes to processing, AI photography, and algorithms have been brought over to here, but in conjunction with that, you still have great hardware for the price, being a 50 megapixel sensor. Some of the AI features include AI flash photography, AI Live Photo 2.0 that kind of gives you like a video before and after that is 1.5 seconds, as well as AI Perfect Shot by allowing you to change the expressions of closed eyes, face obscuring hair in photos. All of these features allow you to natively take advantage of AI photography from the smartphone itself. When it comes to the software experience, I've been familiar with OPPO's software for many years, and I've actually found it to be one of the cleaner options on the market. This smartphone is of course powered by Android 15. And what is also great is that you get 5 years of OS updates and 6 years of security updates guaranteed, meaning it is a phone that is able to last you for many years to come. And I just find that it allows you to customize the experience exactly the way that you would like, take advantage of some customizations when it comes to visual things, but also utilize built-in AI features without it being in your face. And when it comes to performance, it is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 8350 processor with up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte of storage. I would say nowadays, when it comes to power in a mid-range flagship smartphone, it is able to suit pretty much all of your needs when it comes to productivity and gaming, as well as computational photography. And from my uses, when it comes to gaming, multimedia, and just general productivity, I never once experienced any hiccups in the smartphone, and that is thanks to the processors in these smartphones being very capable and on a lot of cases in the same level of a flagship from the previous year, and also having great cooling technology along with sufficient RAM. And so I would say nowadays smartphones at this point are flagship level. As for the battery life, this phone has a 6,000 milliamp hour battery with 80 watts of fast wired charging, and on top of that, this is a phone that is already very efficient when it comes to the hardware standpoint. So now that we've talked a lot about the OPPO Reno14, what are some of the differences between the 14F and the 14 Pro when compared to the middle model if you're trying to decide which smartphone is the best for you? Obviously, coming from the same family, they have more similarities than differences, but some of the differences include the display size. The Reno14F is the smallest one, whereas the 14 Pro is the largest one, and the 14 sits right in the middle. The Reno14F has a slightly brighter display with a peak of 1400 nits compared to 1200 on the other two. The Reno14 Pro, on the other hand, is also powered by a MediaTek Dimensity 8450 compared to the 8350, whereas the Reno14F is powered by the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 and comes with a max of 12 gigabytes of RAM compared to 16 gigs of RAM on the 14 and 14 Pro. The camera is where I would say you have the biggest difference. All three of them have a 50 megapixel main camera sensor, and the 14F gives you a dual camera setup that has a 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera, while the 14 Pro has a 50 megapixel sensor across the board and has more similarities to something like the OPPO Find X8 Ultra, where you have a strong triple megapixel camera setup that has a high resolution. Both the Reno14 and 14F have a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, whereas the Pro has a slightly larger 6,200 milliamp hour battery, 80 watts of fast charging, and 50 watts of wireless fast charging. So I would say at the end of the day, if you are just needing the base features, you only need the main camera, then the 14F is probably going to be the best option, especially being the budget option out of the three. For most people, the Reno14 is going to make the most sense, and if you really want a strong triple megapixel camera setup and maybe are deciding between a flagship option, but you might not need all of the additional power or a super high resolution, but you still want a solid triple camera setup because you find yourself using all of them, then the 14 Pro is the right option for you. And if you guys want to learn more, I'm going to drop a link down below, but I'll see you guys in the next video, and a huge thanks for watching.